What's up, guys? Eli here, and I'm here with my buddy Aaron Giannetti. We are in Guam, of all places.
Yeah.
We have been teaching a KCC course, a knife control concepts course, over the past couple of days. See that? And anyway, we thought we'd take some time out after our second day, knocked out about 12 hours so far, and film a couple of YouTube videos. So anyway, one of the topics I've been wanting to do again, because I've done one in the past, is Wrestle-Ups. And this guy's a better wrestler than I am, so I thought he would have some good contributions too off of this. So we'll kind of like tag team this back and forth with some of our favorite Wrestle-Up techniques. We're here at Heights Academy, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Sometimes it's difficult to tell, was that a sweep or a reversal or a wrestle-up?
Yeah.
Generally, whatever results in something that looks wrestly, I think is a wrestle-up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of the time you'll see standing or grounded versus standing, and if the grounded person winds up in a standing position, mat returning or take another person down, I would consider that definitely a wrestle-up. Sometimes scramble on the ground that results in somebody wrestling to the top position can still be a wrestle-up, but depending on the mechanisms they use to get from bottom to top position. So if we're starting here from seated versus standing, and I'm playing a shin to shin kind of position. So shin to shin essentially is where my shin is touching his shin. I'm trying to win inside space, and I'm kind of cupping behind the knee. Generally, this hand is kind of probing or guarding for some kind of like stuff that he's going to be doing with his hands, because he's looking to initiate some kind of passing position from here. So something I can do from here is this secondary leg, I can be like either posting or hooking behind here. So a dummy sweep is a really good mechanism to initiate a lot of these things. If I go for a dummy sweep and I hook behind here and then I push his leg and he falls down, that's a dummy sweep. But a lot of times that's what happens. He'll step out because he reads it. So knowing that's going to happen, sometimes that he's going to step out, I need to have something in the chamber for that reaction. So I go here like this, I go to push, he steps out of this position. So whenever he does that, what I personally like to do is I like to switch hands, and that same one I was pushing with, I'm going to hook behind this knee, and I'm going to post and pull myself up into this, this position here. I'm trying to keep my head here in his ribs so it doesn't drift too far to the front where he can shove my head down like this, or too far to the back where he can start wrapping me up for a choke and sprawling out on me. So what I need to do is whenever I start to wrestle up, I need to keep my head into the ribs like this. And then once I get to this posted leg, I'm leaning my weight on him so it takes the weight off of my knee. And then I can get myself up to the single leg kind of position. From the single leg, now we can run the pipe, we can step back, hike up this leg or whatever, or however we look to finish this kind of single leg here, right? But the thing is, I'm wrestling myself up to a single leg kind of position, right? So again, what's happening in this position, I'm going from shin to shin, I'm monitoring up here. I'm gonna look to make my dummy sweep as he goes to step this leg out. I'm swapping my hands, I'm posting up, head's coming into the ribs. I'm hiking this leg up here, and then I'm in on my single leg where I can look to finish that. That's one I like a whole lot. I've got some others.
Yeah, that actually reminded me of, you know, kind of the same exact setups. I play a lot of like messing with people's feet and shins, like on both sides of it. We're in the case where you're playing kind of shin on shin here, shin on shin here. Sometimes when I'm going to come up, I'll go play, you know, again, I'll kind of like play back at this one as they go to step, and then I'll actually go here to cup into the back of the leg, and I'll use this as I go to stand, right? And I'm doing essentially a technical get up, right? Baseline, technical get up, bop, bop. Doing this little number here, but it applies pressure, like poof, I'm under this, into this, and now as I go to roll up, right, I can collapse the leg there, or in the very least, because we're kind of looking more at wrestling up type deals, is I can get this and elevate it, and now I can kind of feed it to my own hand as I go. And again, it's coming based off of that same just kind of tomfoolery down into here, get you to go to open, catch, right? And I can either roll straight up over top of the leg here, or if you're kind of pushing back into me, I can post and pick the leg up that way. So similar concept idea as far as the sit-up, but using that leg kind of as a choke point, you know, inside, outside on the back of the heel. Yeah, I love that. I like all those from, we used to call it Koala Guard, where you kind of like wrapped around hugging the leg. Yeah.
I like those a lot. I got several from there. I'm not going to show it because there's a lot of overlap, but I like that one a lot. However we got into this position, essentially I'm completely underneath him. My foot's coming up into the hip. I want to hike my hips up, and I want to kind of encapsulate his hip on this side. From here, there's a good number of sweeps and leg lock entries that we can look to do. What Aaron's usually going to do, though, he's usually going to clear this off the hip. Yeah, like that, right? Which, again, is not the end of the world, because from there, I can go to kick him forward here. And then maybe we can enter it back into X or reverse X into saddle or whatever. But sometimes, like, if I kicked him forward and his hands are really spread out, so he's really stretched out like this a lot, then I'm going to kick this leg back and down This one's gonna kind of uppercut, and I wanna turn myself in this way and come out from behind. Once I come out from behind, I'm gonna shelf the leg, because even if you wanted to turn and pull guard, this is gonna make it messy. But a lot of the time, the guy here, especially if he's got a better wrestling game, he'll start to like post up and he'll stay in this kind of standing position. So he'll turn back and face me. And now we're back in this standing single leg type of situation. So now I can step in, I can trip, reap, whatever. So what that one was, again, like from here, as I got into this single leg X entry and he clears it, I'm gonna kick his butt forward like this and then shoot up around, shelf that leg. As he comes up, we get here, and then I can wrestle him back down. That returns everything else. So that's one I like a whole lot because it pairs well with my saddle entries.
From like turtle, right? If I'm coming out of turtle, you know, a lot of people escaping out of turtle, at least for certain different positions, the single leg tends to be at least something you learn early on, or at least the concept of trying to get a single leg and collapse the body and the frame over. In most cases, right, I'm down here in a turtle. Most people have a tendency to kind of grab up towards the hamstring. Whether that's right or wrong is a whole nother video. But if I go into here, I go to collect this, there's a solid chance you're going to start to sprawl out. Right. So that leg's going to start to go out that way. So it's not the end of the world, right, if I start thinking about the next thing. If I stay kind of here centered and collapse, I'm going to have a bad day. But I like to think about, I actually picked this up from Mike Cheney, our very, very good friend, the idea that if I'm attacking a single leg, very similarly I could be attacking the body lock, right, and vice versa. So as I go to reach for the thing and you're sprawling, I'm going to start to step my way out to go to clear. So that base that you have on top of me starts to disappear just a little bit. And now my hand's going to start going like real high up towards the back, right? Now, if you end up collapsing very easily like that, it's probably more of a reversal, right? Or some type there. But in most cases, if you have a pretty good base, I'm probably not just going to be able to shuck you off completely that way. So as I start doing this, you start to sprawl and I start to go high, you start kind of squaring up and start to standing. Now I'm going to start wrestling my way to standing from here, right? Now if I have this arm around the back side, I can wrestle my way up, get to my body lock, reverse position there, or I can go back to my single on the way up. Yeah. So from that same exact thing, like, yeah, I can wrestle up to my body lock, but then I can also go back to my single, right? So if I set myself down, I'm going to attack that single, you don't like it, you sprawl the hips out, so I start going high up in the back, and you start chasing away from me. Now, as we're going up, I can trace right back down to that single, because my arm's already on the back of the hip, I'm chopping it down, get my heavy grips, and then again, like you were saying, however I want to finish. I like to finish mine pretty much like just like dragging the leg, walking them through, but we can stand up, end up on the back maybe, a lot of different options from that same exact position, so.
Well, yeah, and that's cool. It made me think because like there's several positions where I have the opportunity to just pull guard. Like if I don't want to sit there and try to wrestle back up, but that's also a reason that wrestle-ups have become more popular because the more wrestling that's being integrated and injected into submission grappling these days with the proliferation of like more submission grappling events and you know, also the deterioration of like the gi, you know, so it's like a lot more people are getting into no gi grappling, submission grappling, so there's a lot more wrestling emphasis. So then the impetus now is on, I need to be a good wrestler. So I need to not just pull guard at the first sight of this guy reversing my position because I'm going to lose points or whatever. And I think that's ultimately a net positive in my opinion because it's making people have to wrestle. So if I'm in a really bad position, sometimes like working my way out, it'll result in me trying to wrestle up from it rather than just escaping to, you know, the next decent position and actually getting a really positive, a super positive position. So one I like is getting to single leg X and wrestling up. And doing it even from mount escape, right? So a mount escape that I like to use, I stole this mostly from my buddy Jared Jessup, but like from here, if you're mounted and I can get this hand stuffed into your gut, which is not always the most difficult thing in the world, right? So I just kind of catch you while you're still up and I get this kind of 2-on-1 stuffing it into your gut. And if you don't like, first of all, if you square back over me, you're just going to give me a basic kind of trap and roll. So typically a lot of people are going to kind of pull away from that to try to get that arm free. And as you do, I'm going to shrimp my way out. And when I do, I don't shrimp my hips out from under you, but I shrimp into your posted leg so that I can get to the single leg X position, right? Now for single leg X, you know, I could maybe start looking into leg lock positions or whatever. But from here, if I hike this up and I get this up here to my ear and I grab above the leg here, then I use the base leg here to stretch you out. Sometimes the guy will fall over right here, but sometimes he'll keep his base and he'll hop up and he'll keep going all the way to standing. So when we get here now, I can start going really high with this. And then if I just run you down, right, especially if I'm taller, but like even if we're the same size, I can hike that leg way up, run the guy down, turn it into it. So anytime you get into like an X or like an X position. From here, you know, you can do kind of the same thing essentially, right? So like if I keep stretching the guy out, especially if I have this over in kind of a traditional X and I post out on that leg and I frame up here, now it's just like you said a while ago, doing kind of a technical stand up to this position, right? If this is already within reach, I can pick the angle, tap the knee, or just keep coming up and running the guy down and over and then starting my pass off of that, right? Yeah. So I'm just throwing this in as a bonus here at the end. It is a funky, it's a real thing. I promise it's a real thing. And you can see some highlights of like different high school and collegiate wrestlers do this one. The reason I like it is because I like to use Imanari's. And Imanari is essentially a leg lock entry. So like if either I get Aaron to step that leg back or he's like presenting this leg forward and then I like sweep this leg out, I can go in here this way. And then I'm in on this leg entanglement and eventually gonna wind us up in the saddle probably, right? So closely related to that is if I don't try to get the leg entanglement off of it, and from here, like he's stepping back on that leg, and as I go to shoot in, we cut through, and whenever I get to this position, I just stand up with the leg here. So now we climb the tree, now we're in this kind of trip position. So I actually used it to set up that single leg kind of position, right? And kind of climb the tree on the way up. So again, that one here, however I got him set that leg back, shoot in, reverse, and then I hike that leg up. Hit the trip on the way down.
Beautiful.
All right.
Wrestling up's the way to be. Be on top, be in control, smash people.
That's right.
Don't just pull guard. Don't pull guard. I'm just kidding. Pull guard sometimes. It's fine.
Yeah. But yeah, everything's on the table, right? And modern submission grappling is the most evolved it's ever been. It's the best expression of jiu-jitsu and grappling that's ever been is right now. I think anybody else that says otherwise is being disingenuous.
True.
So knowing how to wrestle, period, is really good. And I think a good way to bridge that gap from being a jiu-jitsu guy that doesn't know how to wrestle to being somebody who can fake like they know how to wrestle, right, is to start exploring more wrestle-ups, right? Rather than just saying, okay, I'm just gonna look at sweeps, try to reverse the position, try to escape in some kind of way, but looking at how to actually wrestle up into wrestling positions gets you comfortable with navigating that space, I feel like. So anyway, I appreciate you guys watching this video. I appreciate Aaron Giannetti here for being awesome. And check us out on all the socials, guys, and look at knife control concepts.
Definitely.
We've been putting a lot of work in that for like 7, 8 years or something crazy. And it's really growing more and more. We're doing this internationally. We just got back from Costa Rica. Now we're in Guam, taking it all over the world. So yeah, check it out. Appreciate you guys.